I shot 3 short films in 3 weeks. Here's what I learned. Number 1. Don't shoot 3 short films in 3 weeks. If you want to burn yourself out, then this is definitely a good way to do it. In my circumstance, I was actually producing the film I wrote first, which was called Midnight Gains, and then I was working with study peers on their projects called The Last Rush and Breach Inception. If you can, don't split yourself between multiple films at the same time. It means you can invest your time into creating the ideal vision of the film that you want to make or are a part of. And if you don't do this, you'll knock out one after another without thinking about the best outcome for each film. This did happen to me, even though I tried to mitigate the issue. Since my film was first, I knew exactly how I wanted it to look. I also got a dedicated cinematographer on board, which definitely helped. But saying that, they weren't available on every single day of the shoot I had. It meant that I was actually having to do cinematography roles while also being the director, which was definitely a stretch. And when I did have my cinematographer on camera A, I was actually on camera B. While I wasn't truly happy with the narrative of the film, I thought it looked okay. For my first ever short film, I had low expectations, and for what it's worth, it's reasonably good. The next film I did was a completely different creative approach. Instead of nighttime fixed shots, I was doing high energy daylight shots. This proved to be much more taxing on me than I expected. Part of the reason was the camera I was using. For my film Midnight Gains, I was using my cameras, a Panasonic S1 and a GH5, but when it came to the next film, I was on a Blackmagic 6K Pro. And nearing the end of that film, I wasn't able to handle that 6K Pro. It was just too heavy for the high energy scenes. So it meant I had to jump on my Lumix S1 for the B cam to see if I could get the shots, and thankfully it did a decent job. But there was one film left. Breach Inception. This was to amass the length of both Midnight Gains and The Last Rush combined, which was about 14 minutes. And this also had a much lighter crew. So it meant that I needed to put more effort in than ever, while also being more fatigued. This is where instinct kicked in. Now the thing is, I had a lot of creative control and I was using my gear, but it also meant I was having to improvise a lot, which took a lot of mental brain power. Since I had so much on my shoulders, I just went into this involuntary state where I did what I thought would work best, but not specifically to the application of the genre of the film. While I was surprised with the shots I was able to get, I was still not 100% happy with the end result. 2. If you can get crew, take it. As I said with Midnight Gains, is that I was able to get a cinematographer to be able to share the roles of camera operator. I also had crew members that were for other roles in the film that were crucial, and we were able to crack through the scenes quite efficiently. Even though we were efficient, I was still quite stretched. With The Last Rush, I actually felt that the crew size for that was pretty good. It meant that I was able to focus on being camera operator. Then there was Breach Inception. I was doing roles in camera, audio, lighting, blocking, and etc. So if you can get more crew on a small project like this, then I would do it. Otherwise, the production will ultimately suffer. Number 3, include motivated lighting. I was doing lighting roles on all 3 films, so it meant I had to learn as much as I could before going into it, including this technique. A general rule is that if you are to light a scene, include practical lights that look to be lighting the scene, even if they are not. This increases production quality by a massive amount for a small amount of money, and if you haven't done it before, then I would recommend doing it. I'm even doing it right here. We've got that lamp behind me which isn't directly lighting me, but it's just adding a bit of dimension. Number 4. C-stands are really helpful. These were some of the best investments I had made, not because of holding camera or lighting gear, but actually audio gear. With my C-stands, I had a setup that included a gobo head on top, boom pole support holder clamped into it, and a boom pole with microphone locked into place on top. This produced effortless audio recording. It's actually what I'm using right here off the shot. It's a C-stand with the boom pole over the top with a shotgun mic directly in front of me. Now this was not only making it much easier and less taxing for the sound recordist, but it was also helpful for the camera operator. You know exactly where the microphone will be at all times and it will not move a millimeter. So it means you can frame the camera exactly where you need on the subject. Number 5, don't shoot in log at night. Now, 2 of the 3 films I was shooting were shot at night, meaning I had to expose up and stop down the camera. This is where log comes into the equation. No matter what camera you use with log, your base ISO will jump, meaning more noise is introduced. And the problem is that you need to keep your ISO as low as possible at night. If you use a camera with at least 10-bit 4224K and a cine-like D picture profile, then you will be reasonably okay, barring you have a small sensor like Micro Four Thirds. You can get away with it definitely by lighting up as much as possible and stopping down, but something like a full frame sensor would be ideal. If you have a very bright scene at night in a room, for example, that is evenly lit and there aren't any really dark points where noise can be shown, then log can work. But if you are shooting a really dark scene with, let's say, 1 key light on a subject and everything else is in darkness, then this will not work for log. Number 6. You don't need a gimbal. Believe it or not, a gimbal was not used in any of these films at any point. Midnight Gains used a variety of tripod, monopod, and a tad of handheld. The Last Rush used handheld, a bit of tripod, some slider, but mostly a shoulder rig. And with Breach Inception, we had tripod, monopod, and also handheld, which was like Midnight Gains. With these productions, minutes counted, and the setup times of gimbals is just way too long for what we were needing, and also the creative look was not what we were after. So if you have no reason to use a gimbal for your film, just stay away from it. It's something I'd learned very quickly from past projects I completed. Number 7. Have backup microphones. This is the last point and really counts if you are in a small crew with shared roles. With Midnight Gains, I was especially critical with getting the best audio possible and always having some sort of backup. I did not want to do ADR at all costs, and what we did proved successful. For most scenes with dialogue, we had 2 mics, a boom over the main actor and a boom over the support actor. Since they were in close proximity, we were able to pick up both actors very well, and at the same time we were getting the off-screen actor's dialogue more times for a backup. And when we couldn't do that in a car park scene outside, we were able to improvise with something else that proved equally successful. We shot the main and support actor's dialogue separately and then cut it in post. Whichever actor was completing their dialogue, we had a C-stand booming a microphone overhead and also a Rode Wireless Go clipped behind their shirt collar. This was a great idea by the sound recordist and it worked perfectly. So if they moved off mic from under the boom, the Wireless Go would still capture their audio clear as day. This worked really well and I would recommend you do it if you have the gear available. Now if you want to see more content from me, you can check out this video right here. I had a ton of fun making it and I'm pretty sure if you like this video, you'll like that one too. I'll see you in the next video and peace.